One tweet from POTUS is a metaphor for our mess. Here it is. So ridiculous. Greta must work on her anger management problem, then go to a good old-fashioned movie with a friend. Chill, Greta. Chill. He's talking, of course, about 16-year-old climate activist Greta Thunberg, Time magazine's Person of the Year. This teenager who is on the autism spectrum, and he knows it. Her combination of youth, passion, vulnerability, it makes her the embodiment of the notion that wisdom can come out of the mouths of babes.
The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
Time magazine's decision to pick her is going to make sense to many, even those who disagree with her about climate change, which is also known as science. But then comes Trump. Forget the obvious jealousy. Remember, this is the guy who faked being on a Time magazine Person of the Year cover. And to make it clear, this was no misunderstanding. The campaign doubled down. They put his head on Greta's slight frame like some kind of bully blow-pop. But by now, we expect our president to ignore all precedent of presidential behavior. The troubling development is this. You hear that? That's Trump's defenders saying nothing. My brothers and sisters on the right, how can you expect people to believe you are offended by Democrats' arguments about abuse of power or anything about integrity when you stand by with this president's constant abuse? And you provided the evidence against yourselves just last week when you cared so much about how we treat kids in politics. Remember this?
So while the president can name his son Barron, he can't make him a baron.
Whoa! Whoa! First Lady went right into be best mode, tweeting, "A minor child deserves privacy and should be kept out of politics. You should be ashamed of your very angry and obviously biased public pandering and using a child to do it." Now, I don't think the professor had the animus that the president had with what he just said. But you know what? The First Lady was still right. All of you, especially on the right, who exploded and echoed her outrage, you were right. Because we don't go at kids, even as a joke, or as an aside, or as an anything. But here's the question. Where are you now? You suddenly cared about decency. It was wrong to mention Barron, right? He's a kid and requires special consideration and sensitivity, like Greta. But where are you now? Where's Be Best? Where's FLOTUS? They defended the president the first time he went after Thunberg, and you're silent now. What, only his kids matter? You who are silent are just like the Greek actors ages ago, wearing masks of duty and constitutional consternation, if masks could be that. Underneath it all, though, you're just doing as you're told. That's where the word hypocrite comes from. And you wear it well. If I were to say what Trump said, I would be crushed, and rightly so. I may even lose my job in today's cancel culture. But that's because most of us are concerned about how what we say affects those around us. But now we have a man who should have that concern most acutely, and yet he ignores it in full knowledge that he has a cast of men and women willing to play the fool in his act of the absurd. The party of character counts, of cleansing the office of contamination with Clinton. No need for a crime, right, Lindsay? But your silence now, more troubling than all the rest that's happened, I argue. Your tongue only works to spread his message of attack at all costs. Your blind devotion to the president has blinded you to your own vulnerabilities on display.
And I don't want to make light of anybody's substance abuse issues, but it's a little hard to believe that Burisma hired Hunter Biden to resolve their international disputes when he could not resolve his own dispute with Hertz rental car over leaving cocaine and a crack pipe in the car.
I would say that the pot calling the kettle black is not something that we should do.
What was Gates doing there? He had to know his DUI arrest and other rumors about him were going to come up, but he didn't care. Why? Because all he cares about is what the boss is going to say. Making fun of addiction? You pretend to care about mental illness? You should be ashamed. All of you. He's just a symptom of a problem. Running from the facts is one thing. That's about strategy. Embracing conspiracies, attacking frailties like illness and vulnerable kids. Are you part of the government or the goon squad? Without fear or favor, right? That's the phrase about applying the law. And yet you act out of fear and only to earn favor with one man. You took an oath to check the president in situations like this. So 2 questions. If fear of the president and a related desire for his favor drive you, what will you do when he realizes, if he hasn't already, that he can take you for granted? When he decides you're no longer worth catering to, you're just going to do what he says. You need him. You're afraid of him. Second, many have posed the profound question of how do you want to be remembered at this historic time? And to be sure, what's said and done now, it's going to be remembered. But there's more